Hello and welcome to Over the Table. I'm Taylor Felicity and I have scoured the internet, but mostly Reddit, for stories about TTRPGs for us to provide our unsolicited opinions, advice, and commentary. Today I'm here with Melanie and Mila, and I'm just gonna immediately throw it over to my guests for them to introduce themselves. Hey Melanie, who are you?
Hey Taylor, I'm Melanie. I'm here to give the correct opinion.
Hey Mila, who are you?
Hey, Taylor, I'm Mila, and I'm here to give the incorrect opinion.
Hell yeah.
And one of you always tells the truth, and one of you always lies.
And we're on your shoulders. And we're having a fight, but also we're making out.
Here, Mila, I'm gonna adjust you a little bit on the overlay so you're centered.
Excellent.
On your screen, because not to call you out,
centrist.
but when I first,
I moved.
You're a centrist. You were eating a hot dog when I put this on the overlay, so
I was.
Call out.
I was eating 2 hot dogs.
Whoa,
made out
double
of fake. Yeah, double fisting hot dogs that are made.
I
out
love
of
that you
fake
hold
meat.
like this stuff.
and I was just
I take a bite from
between
one,
the two.
and a bite from another, and then.
All right, I'm glad we got that.
No one screenshot any of us in that. Taking 2 hot dogs and just hork at the same time.
A little gif of just
I'm just
my pastimes.
Great. So if you're new here, there's some different things that you can do on this stream. They are pinned at the top of the chat. But you can, if you hear something that you don't like, you can boo. If you hear something you like, you can cheer. And if enough people type in a certain amount of time, boo or cheer, something will happen. Who knows what it could be? A boo or a cheer sound effect? Hard to believe, but it just might be the case. And what is that clicking sound? Someone's clicking.
I'm touching nothing. Mila.
What is that sound?
I'm not.
I don't hear anything.
I also don't hear anything.
Am I
What
going
clicking
insane?
sound are you hearing?
I was hearing like a clicking sound. I think I'm losing my mind. I'm hearing it again.
I hear nothing.
I'm not doing anything. I swear I haven't moved.
I believe you. I don't know where that's coming from.
Usually it is me, which is why I'm like, is it this?
No.
Right, because it
It's
wasn't
not.
doing that. Okay.
It's not either of you.
Does it sound like a pen?
It sounds like a pen clicking over and over and over again.
Mike's
It's
behind you.
What's
it's
Mike
in my
doing?
headphones. I feel like I'm going insane, so I'm not even going to do anything else. I'm just going to. I'm just going to start reading. I don't know why that clicking sound is happening. I don't know what it is. Hopefully, I am the only one who can hear it.
Stories.
Yeah.
I don't think it's happening on stream. If anyone can hear it on stream, please tell us.
If anyone in chat can hear a clicking sound,
you're legally obligated.
You have to tell me, so I know I'm not going insane.
You're a cop. You have to tell me.
If you're a clicking cop, you have to tell us.
Oh my god. Okay. Guys, I do know how to stream. It doesn't seem like I do right now, but I actually really do. This first story is a long one. So a heads up for that, but I just had to, I've had this saved in I've had it squirreled away for I think a year. So, and I was like, okay, this is a good WTF story. This is from r/D&D. I will say content warnings for this one. There are allusions to sexual assault. There's no like actual sexual assault that happens in this story, but it's like one of those things where it's like, in a fantasy world, isn't this action kind of like sexual assault? Also references to like PTSD and CPTSD, like mental illness related things. The title for the story is Teammates Plan on Essaying/Vivisecting My Character. Am I childish for wanting to rage quit?
It's the
What
air
a
quote for me.
child. What a fucking baby this OP is.
Jesus.
Grow up. You don't want to get vivisected? Grow up. Get
Okay.
real.
To sum the story up, my Warforged, yeah, red flag for sure. My Warforged worked as a maid for her inventor's family. I figured out what the clicking sound is.
What's
Oh
happening?
my god.
Mouse? A mouse?
I figured out what it is. Okay. It's sorry. This is so
We're gonna
silly.
start from the top after this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just restart the whole
Start
story.
over.
No, I have a sound effect for red flag that after the flag there's supposed to be one mouse click, and for some reason it's clicking like 100 times after someone does it. And it's just supposed to be
Awful.
once. So that's what that clicking sound is. I don't know how to fix it. Oh, I do know how to fix it. Okay, hang on.
I was like,
Hang on.
that's
I
such
can't
for you.
I can't handle if it's gonna be clicking constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
Oh
able
my
to think.
god. Yeah, no. Every time it would happen, I would just stop talking. Not intentionally.
Yeah.
But just
okay,
stop.
let me go to I think it's oh shoot. Is it action groups? Commands? I think it's
How do we
commands.
know we're neurodivergent?
Hang on, sorry.
Yeah, no, truly abyssal song. That is, it's pretty abyssal.
Story headline, yeah. Okay. Is it this? Okay, so I need to
Abyssal Song is such a
go to
beautiful
channel
name.
points.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yep. Also, hi. I saw your name and I didn't want to call you out, but I was like, oh, I know that username.
Oh, is Lost Boy Oleg?
No.
No.
No,
Our friend
no.
Hazel.
Oh,
Okay, hang on. This is the clicking
No.
sound.
I think Oleg is like,
Turn this off, save.
He is a
Alright, I've
silly
saved
one.
my mind. I've saved my mind, everyone.
yeah.
Okay. Pretend nothing has happened so far. Hello, everyone. This is Over the Table.
Oh,
I'm going to read
hi.
a story.
Whoa, I didn't see you there.
Oh.
Welcome in.
The title of this story is Teammates Plan on Essaying/Vivisecting My Character Am I Childish for Wanting to Rage Quit? To sum the story up, my Warforged worked as a maid for her inventor's family. When they were butchered in front of her, she was tasked with her inventor's last task to basically become a walking bomb and kill the inventor's brother who sent the assassins. Sadly, this event also caused her PTSD, so much that she suppresses her memories, thinking this was just another simple delivery job. My idea was for the other players to slowly but surely discover and put together my story before being hit with the finale, aka the big bomb. Our artificer has repeatedly tried to open my robot like a can. She even succeeded in knocking me out and opening my head, finding a weird cable that led to my chest and didn't belong there. Now the group found a high-level mage able to cut my magic protection and basically agreed in secret on vivisecting me and potentially taking out my soul, aka the thing is infused with a bomb, aka the thing that is placed on the chest of my humanoid form, aka the thing my robot has given multiple times no consent on touching. My DM has tried to handle it. She insists that it's okay, since it's what the character would do. Artificer equals glorified mechanic, basically. But also reassured me that their checks might still fail, if they're below a 15. I also asked the group if I could at least defend myself if they tried. DM said, sure, but the artificer started to laugh. Apparently artificers are utterly broken. So OP, they're normally illegal. Meaning that they're against the law. Congress passed a law that said you can't play an artificer. So OP, they're normally illegal, meaning that if I were to defend myself, she could still easily overpower and do whatever with me. At first, I was decently fine with it. Okay, no, that's a lie, but I tried. However, the longer I'm thinking about it, the more triggered I feel. As one could guess from my character, I have CPTSD. I'm starting to feel more and more pushed into a scenario I'm genuinely not comfortable with. Last session, my Warforged made an offhanded remark about the Artificer's little flamethrower robot and was attacked by her without initiative for 11 points without ability to dodge. Noticing that I got upset, Z, the artificer, started to lay it in. Basically, that I was a little bitch baby, and if I couldn't handle consequences, I should just go off and write a book on my own. That she plays a hothead and reacts like that. Now there's only one mission between us and returning to that mage. I also realized I'm not having fun anymore. Would it be childish to potentially rage quit like that?
No.
This person needs to get out. This person needs to absolutely get out.
100%.
What in the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm a hothead. That's how I play. Well, I'm playing a character who has PTSD because I have PTSD, actually. And
yeah,
it's fucked up that you're treating me this way. And I've tried to tell you that in character, and now I'm telling you out of character. And if you can't handle that, then I don't want to play with you. Yeah. What in the fuck?
Yeah.
Woo!
And like, yes. Oh, fuck. So the thing is, I loathe that this is how my character would react, because like, yeah, obviously you should be playing that way, but also ultimately you are one human being playing with another human being. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing here? And there was one time where I was like panicked, but I was just like, this is what like they would do. But most of the time, whenever I see it being used, it is just like, well, I want to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I want to be an asshole. And it's so frustrating where it's like, I want to do something bad and shitty that I can't, like, I probably want to. This is probably an overstretch, but I'm going to come out swinging. I think a lot of people who play D&D as a shithead want to be a shithead in real life and can't because of consequences. And then when they play a game like this, they're like, well, if you can't take the consequences, it's like, well, you can't, because you're saving all of your shit for here and being an asshole and legitimately hurting another person. Thank you.
Thank you, Lost Boy, for the applause redeemed. Yeah, I think that it's what my character would do thing is interesting, because there are legitimate reasons to say like, oh, this thing is happening. It's like not, I know it's not the optimal thing to do, but I really think it's what my character would do in this situation. That I think is fine. Yeah. The time where it's toxic is if someone as a player goes to you and says, hey, I don't like this thing that you, a player, are doing in this game, and you say, well, it's what my character would do. That's when it's toxic, because then you're saying
you're a piece of shit.
Then you're saying, well, it doesn't really matter what you as a person feel, because I've made up a guy in my mind who wants to hurt you. Like,
so what do you want me to do? Not do that?
What do you want me to do? Change the guy in my head?
Yeah. Well,
imagine him kind of different.
This would be so easy to solve because you just get distracted. Like, there's this really interesting like thing where you're trying to like get into it. Maybe you talk to your DM and you come across like an animal like Wildforged, like Forge guy. I forget what they're actually called.
A druid?
Warforged, thank you.
Oh, Warforged.
No, like, but maybe there's like an animal Warforged, and you're kind of like, whoa, like, how is this like, how does this work? Or you kind of find or work with the DM to find something that will make your character distracted from that one, like without sacrificing what your character would be like. Like, there's just so many ways that isn't even just you drop this thread, but just shift. And like just dropping it would be fine. If someone says, hey, stop, just dropping it, correct behavior. But if you're like, oh, but like my character, to get distracted. There's just so many things you could do that you're actively choosing not to do that make you shitty.
Find another way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is an interesting. I'm glad you brought this one, because I've heard different stories where people like try to like seduce a fellow player or like, try to whatever. And the thing with like charisma checks and stuff against other players is like the correct way to do that is they get to set like the DC for what it takes to do that. Right. So like a person who's like rolls a nat 20, it's like, well, that's too bad because it's actually you have to hit a 40 to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you hit a nat 20. So like a physical thing between players, like this feels like a thing that should have been worked out maybe in, a session 0. But even then, like you can't really tell that, like you can't foresee in the future someone wanting to breach your character's autonomy in that way. So even if you're like, I'm fine with us fighting, that's such a different instance of being yeah, assaulted in that way. That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks really badly.
I'm gonna there's
defending of my
go ahead.
character. Oh, sorry. There's also this defending of like my character with no concern for the other person's character. Like even if we boil it down from like two people up here,
Yes.
just like you're being shitty, your character's being shit. I don't know. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
You're putting your character on such a high pedestal and completely just like ignoring the other one as if they aren't like equal. And it's yeah. I don't
It's
like
bad vibes. Bad vibes.
bad vibes all around. Quit. You would be
Whatever table
childish.
you're at,
Quit.
whatever
Quit.
table you're at, if you go to another player and say like, "Hey, this doesn't feel good to me," and they don't at least listen, like hear you out,
Yeah.
and like if they really insist on doing anything, like what Mila was saying, of like try to find a different way. Like if they are insistent on doing a thing that makes you uncomfortable, you gotta get out of there. That sucks.
What you should do is you go. I'm so sorry, Taylor. Is you go and you stick it out until you get to the mage, and then they touch something, and all your memories come flooding back, and you blow up. You explode, and you take them all with you. That's how you rage quit. Take them out.
Blow it
Take
up.
them out.
Have that happen,
Blow it
and then
up,
you in
literally.
real life flip the table and you walk out.
You in real life also blow up.
And then you throw a Molotov cocktail behind you as you leave the house.
That's better.
So
I had a moment of, I'm being recorded.
Oh, actually, in Minecraft,
I'll go on record, actually.
So that kind of segues into, there's more to this story. So there's a couple like updates and other things. So, somebody in this post commented saying like, you should like attack and kill like this other player, whatever. Not player, sorry, character. not the player. And OP responded, I wish. Sadly, I can't. DM said we can't kill anyone from our party. Mutilate? Maybe. With that, I'm honestly planning at worst to aim for the artificer's legs, or rocket arm. I also thought about collectively poisoning them. I have an herbal kit plus cooking tools, but that would be if push comes to shove.
Oh, you gotta leave that group when you're like, yeah, I could kill them all or poison them all. That's a good moment to say,
maybe I should leave.
Time to go. But also an artificer would really struggle without hands, is all I'm saying.
Without the rocket arm?
Without the rocket arm, damn.
So then there's a comment here that starts, I am a close friend to literally every other member of OP's D&D group and have heard this story from a multitude of perspectives, so let's break this down. So we have a witness. We have a witness to this. OP built a character with an integrated bomb with the intention of their character going out with a big boom, without considering the implications and possible harm this may have on the party. The DM was uncomfortable with this concept because it made her anxious, but let herself be talked into it because it was her very first campaign. OP already had to be talked to multiple times for pushing herself in the center of attention of the campaign, making her fellow members unable to shine or even talk. OP's Warforged continued to show erratic behaviors, ranging from using wrong names, talking to herself, over spontaneous, violent displays, such as stabbing a dead goblin repeatedly for minutes, to force-feeding a restrained, non-consenting goblin mouth-to-mouth with a kiss, with the intent of making him fall in love with her. Naturally, the other players grew concerned, so the tech-savvy artificer tried to find out more and open up the Warforged. The fact that OP's character constantly wanted to avoid that made them more suspicious. Yeah, maybe communication was bad here. In the brain, they found the mentioned weird cable, bloody and clearly not belonging there, so they tried to investigate, but couldn't. Even if the necromancer had helped them, it wouldn't have worked, as this was not the DM's plan. The DM, by the way, is an incredibly communicative person, always trying to make sure that everyone is okay, and gave OP enough ability to talk about this. The reason the artificer punched OP's character is because OP insulted her homunculus servant and refused to apologize, even though everyone urged them to. The Artificer's player, this is what my character would do, did not mean my character is just an asshole, but you just insulted the most important thing in her life. The reason OP was not allowed to roll to defend themselves was that the Artificer rolled a nat 20. The fact that OP is now partly in this thread planning to hurt or even kill the Artificer or the party is ridiculous.
So leave. That person should rage quit. Because I think everyone would be happier. My initial statement, I think, still stands.
Yeah.
This whole party
GTFO.
sounds like a nightmare. These
Oh, yeah.
everyone here
Oh, yeah.
sounds so not fun to play
No,
with.
not remotely.
The idea I'm just like thinking about like every sort of dramatic situation I've ever been in and being like, I've heard everyone's side, and it's like I'm just so exhausted by all of this. And it really would solve everything, regardless of who's in the right or wrong.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Yeah.
This is not the table for you all to be together. Like
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So OP then responds. I'm trying to decide how much of this I should go into. There's kind of two more back and forth. OP then responds to that comment. And says, "Hey, OP here." And then like highlights some of the things from the comments. So one of them is talk to DM into it. OP says, "I fucking talked with her and asked if it was okay. I'm a noob. I was excited and thought in theory she was the DM. She said it was fine. She could have said no. Everyone knows I can take a clear no. I'm not some nat 20 seductress," which I just think is this is kind of, here's the reason why I brought this story. I really feel for OP. There's some different things they say. They have CPTSD. In another comment, like on a different subreddit, they mentioned having like being autistic. So I really feel for them, but also the way they are writing, like being like, just tell me to shut up. I'm not a nat 20 seductress. I'm just like, oh no, this whole table. I feel really bad for OP. I feel like also I kind of feel bad for the other players because it just seems like everyone is like, we can't talk about anything. The DM is like, I'm too nervous to say no to this character concept. Like everyone is just like, we can't talk to each other except on Reddit.
Oh my god.
Which is also
yeah. So I won't read all of it. They kind of, at the end of this response, do you want me to read all of it?
Yeah,
I can. Okay.
I legitimately do.
Okay. So I'll read all of it. They respond to the friend who's not even in the D&D group saying that OP pushed themselves into the center of attention. And they wrote seriously, but seriously is just SRSLY, which I feel like does add to like the vibe of this. Seriously? Yes. At the beginning of the campaign, I talked too much. And I said multiple times, hey, if I talk too much, tell me. I even asked regularly, hey, am I talking too much? I'm an ex-theater kid, not fucking Darla Dimple. Ooh. At worst, tell me to shut the fuck up for 10 minutes. Back then, they didn't know it would be a target-seeking bomb that would not have blown them up. Especially one that has a countdown I only built so they could escape, because I never wanted them to get hurt. I'm selfish. I'm the selfish one. The one who rescued at least 2 to 3 of them from dying. The one who fucking specialized in cooking tools, though a warrior, so they could have buff foods. I swear to God, have these people even noticed how much I did for you in this fucking campaign? Sigh. Anyway. So that's... Yeah, Darla Dimple is from Cats Don't Dance. It is the horrible little girl in Cats Don't Dance.
I've never seen this. So, Scott Bakula's in it. Well, that's important.
Oh my god, Mila, you gotta see
this has
Cats
some
Don't Dance.
pretty.
It's almost like someone
decent.
will talk about that maybe in this next week.
There's at least 2 Star Trek alum in this movie. And that's the thing that gets me.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but yeah, I was like, Darla Dimple, what a strange pull for a character.
I didn't know
reference.
who she was. What a weird, like, not like weird bad or even weird good, but just a very neutral, weird person. But also, damn, I have biases against theater kids. And because One, I feel like they sometimes are more aware than they let on to get away with certain things. But also, one time there was a house party, and people I knew were in the theater department, and we were like, "Yeah, you can have a party at the house," or like upper roommates. And so we also like let them use like our like basement suite area. And I walked in to my living room to get to my bedroom. And the theater kids turned and looked at me and said, "Can we help you?" And I said, "This is my house." And then I kept walking, and I was so pissed. So now I have like mine are just like I'm at any moment ready to fight.
Ellie, you
No, if
hissed
you're a
like
theater
a
kid-
cat.
Yes.
Well, they've read one book of
Yeah, that's
work.
true.
I have. I've read one book. If you are behind the scenes theater kid, you're good. No,
You're chill.
no issues. You're
Techie,
and
yeah.
I need to be on stage theater kid. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Anyways,
I'm a
This
failed
feels
theater
like a theater
kid, which
kid
is
thing.
which is why I do TTRPG.
which is also like not the right. Yeah, that's exactly like it was in my house, and they were just like, "Don't come. Why are you in your living room?" Assholes. Anyway, 100%. It was mostly just that little group of people, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
there was the party wasn't fun for other reasons, and now I'm just like,
Theater kids.
But yes, I would love to hear that. This is such a theater kid thing to do.
Yes.
And like I legit, like as you said, I feel bad. Like the autism is tough, but also like sometimes it can be hard because you're like, tell me if I'm doing this. And like as an autistic person, I even struggle telling like other autistic people that they're annoying me nicely. Because one, sometimes people take it really poorly, and I
Yeah.
did not
Yeah.
successfully do it nicely. And the other thing too is that like I don't want them to feel bad, even though like I had one person who would keep talking about Harry Potter with me, and I was like, I also, to be fair, straight up was like, I don't want to talk about Harry Potter. And that did not dissuade them remotely.
Yeah.
So then it was
God
just
damn it.
kind of like, I'm just not going to engage because like I have like tried, but it can be really hard of like that kind of realizing that for other people, it can be really hard to say those things when it's easy
Yeah.
for you. And so like, oh, tell me if I talk too much. If I tell you you're talking too much, I feel like I'm being an asshole, even if you're taking it well. But also, I'm not sure this person would have actually taken it well.
There's not a nice way to even say that, though.
No, there isn't.
There's not
There
a very
isn't.
nice way.
Just tell me
say,
to shut up for 10 minutes at least. God.
Yeah, but also like this person does seem a bit combative based on the way they were writing, and so like I don't think they would have taken it well. I don't think they would have taken it well at all.
Speaking of not
Which just
taking
sucks.
things well, there is like I said, this is long. There is one last part that is an update from OP.
Oh,
Yes.
And this is
Amazing.
this long with me heavily editing it and taking out a bunch of stuff that kind of didn't matter. Okay, update to Reddit. So hey, OP here again. This post got a lot of traction. So much traction that my group found it. I'm currently in talks, and it turns out I got a bunch of stuff wrong. Apparently, Z saying Artificer is OP was because her voice was mixed with the other guy who talked about a different kind of mage. It was also shortly after Z attacked me, or tried, but someone said it got stopped/taken back. Sigh. Whatever it was, I think I must have gotten triggered and activated CPTSD tunnel vision. Not saying this entire post is a lie or something, but if you read this now, please take whatever I've written with a large bucket of salt. A lot of stuff, also in my replies, is me being very emotionally unstable, aka it was the truth to me at that time, but not the objective truth per se. To add to this, Jesus fucking Christ, you guys are brutal. Well, I'm very touched how many people showed concern and care. Y'all went really dark when it came to the DM and Z. Just going to say, as much as I felt hurt myself, that's not cool. Like, yes, you only went from what you've been told, and in that sense, yes, it's mainly my fault, not yours. But still, geez, I'm not supporting that. To my teammates. Yeah. So, hey, I'm not sure what you're thinking right now. I can see that you're blowing up my phone with texts and calls, but I didn't get around to reading any because I was still feeling upset. Jesus. I'm in a crunch for 3 exams/presentations tomorrow, and overall, wanted to deal with this on Friday. As you can see from, this post, when I get triggered/emotional, I run the risk of going haywire. This includes thinking and seeing things in a very, very, very unfair manner. Hence, to blow off steam, but also get input, I journal on Reddit. Reddit because, one, I can't keep a diary to save my life, and two, so people not attached to me can provide input and reality checks. Two heads keep the third from going down the rabbit hole. Overall, I think you per se realize now that the same way my words and actions may have hurt you, your words can hurt me too, be it directly or through a medium. Don't dig around my profile. I generally have not written about you, any of you, outside here.
Generally.
And that's the end. That's the end.
Why
of the
didn't you
long
text
story.
them? Why did you not say this in a text? Like, the way I would be so done with someone if instead of responding to me trying to be like, hey, let's work this out, and post it on fucking Reddit, I would, like, I'm really bad at texting people back. It's one of the things I need to work on. Like, it is, you know, it's very difficult for me, and like I've lost like friendships from it, and like it's really hard. Why are you posting this on Reddit? Also, if you're gonna post on Reddit, copy and paste it and change it slightly. You've already written it. Just edit it a bit and then send it. Like, you've written it out. Don't post. Don't post. Copy and paste it and send it to them like on Discord or on like Facebook or wherever you have them. That's like not text, so it's a little bit easier, more like, because I find like your phone can be like an extension of you, whereas a computer is a little bit more of like a working kind of thing. Just adapt it. Use something that's a little bit more separate. Adapt it and send it to those people. This is so like you're not dealing with it, and like I have a lot of sympathy for all of the other stuff that's going on, but it's also just like, yeah, of course they're unimpressed. Like, you're journaling, and also Reddit isn't a journal. People can find it. If you give too much information, people can find it. They can find you. And like, it's also interesting because it's like, what you could even do is, if you find like you need to do it on like a computer or something, you can get a locked like blog. Like, there are things that you can do that are like actually like private, as much as the internet can be private. But you could do something that's like kind of an in-between, where it's not like handwriting out a journal, but it is still like journaling without bringing in like other people. And I do also find, like, I watch a lot of Reddit stories on fucking TikTok because I don't know, with Minecraft going in the background.
You sent me one the other day, I think, like a week ago.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and
I watch them too.
Yes, they're weirdly fun, even though I hate that it's like one place to another social media and then sometimes to another social media if you're watching it on like Instagram. But anyway, like, there's so many things where it's just it's not public, it's not private, it's not remotely private. And it's just I'm upset both on, like, I feel like this was maybe a good chance to like kind of work through some things and do a little bit of growth, while also like not pushing yourself like too far, even though it would be hard, while also like considering other people's perspectives. And it just didn't happen, and it just feels like really rude to be like, yeah, like, I did mess up, and like I know why I messed up. Also, this felt a little excusey and not like reasony, because there's a reason why I did this, but then there's also like using it as an excuse, and it felt like a little bit on more of that side, not like too much, but like a little bit. I'm just disappointed. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
I 100% agree with you, because like it's like you're taking the time to write out here about how you don't have fucking time to text people back, and it's like, what are you got exams? What are you doing here? Oh, you're not good at journaling? What the fuck is this? Like, I think maybe I'm like weirdly old-fashioned about posting everything online, like, where I'm like, keep it to your fucking self, actually. Like, write your own journal, type it out even, but don't post it. You're trying to work stuff out for yourself. I get that, but also shut the fuck up.
I'm working. I was definitely an overshare.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah,
for 10
truly
minutes.
though. Truly, and sometimes like you should just write something out and then put it in your drafts and come back to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's wild.
My mom just joined.
I know.
So just hearing us railing against this person with no context.
It's so long, but so fun for drama if you enjoy other people's drama.
I think what I find frustrating is there's a lot of ways that I relate to OP, and like, you know, you have this character concept that like is close to like a thing that you have like that you've experienced, so it becomes precious to you, and like I get being autistic and having like PTSD stuff. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you gotta work it out for yourself. It's not other people's.
Yep.
And you're the whole like two heads. The third head keeps the other two from whatever the fuck they said. Like that's not what the internet's for.
No.
You started this off saying that people went too hard against your friends, and it's like, yeah, that's what the internet is, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
they said, what is it exactly that they said? This is in quotes from them. Two heads keep the third from going down the rabbit hole. As if that's a saying. I have
It's definitely not an idiom.
I have never heard that saying.
What does that mean? Like, I understand what it means, but I don't understand what it means. Like, that doesn't make... So it's what I'm envisioning.
If you have three heads, you can't get down a rabbit hole because they're too big a head.
Yes, I'm envisioning an early Hydra where we haven't really lost a whole lot of heads. We've maybe done it like once. We lost one head, and then so there's the three heads, and then one of them is just like looking for bunny rabbits. Like, it's just down there. It's taking a look around, and it's weird. I have my fingers crossed because I didn't want to interrupt, but Mel, you are so correct in that it's like D&D is not therapy. I think it is fun to like play around with things going on in your life and like, you know, kind of like making it into fantasy. I think putting some things into D&D is kind of unfair to the people around you, because I do think putting something as like, and the problem is like it's hard because like I can kind of put like my autism into it in like certain ways and kind of explore that. And like, depending on how I do it, like it can be okay. But I think something, especially with like, or like ADHD, there's like some things where it's like a part of you. And so like, you're kind of playing with like, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And like the PTSD is also going to be a part of it because of you. But at the same time, like putting it onto that, it's complex. That's why they call it CPTSD. Like it's so complex that like, and it's so personal, and like you have to put that in and to explore that. And also like stuff like religious trauma. I think to be able to like put that kind of stuff into your character, you have to be separate from it. You have to have gone through like some therapy. You have to have kind of like explored and like moved forward in certain ways that you can't always do, especially when it's fresh. But also in a more of like on their side, like sometimes you think you're ready to do this and then you're not, and that's really tough. And then I also feel like maybe that character should go off and find themselves and maybe do something else, and then you can bring in maybe like a more easy tropey character to play to kind of like have a cool off period. And yeah, I agree with Hazel of like it can be therapeutic, but like it can only be therapy if like everyone agrees. And I also think that like, you know, 99.9% of the time, like it's not therapy. Therapy is therapy, and therapy is great. And I think there's definitely like, I think solo journaling could be like related, or not solo journaling, but solo like gameplay and TTRPGs could be more aligned. But you're basically turning something that is for fun into group and you don't, other people have not agreed to be in group with you.
Yes it is one of those things that like session 0 is good for when deciding what the game is going to look like I think Taylor, with our Wander Home game, like my character, it's been said on the stream before, like I had my character die of old age, but she did like take something, but I checked with my like the people I was playing with before that, because what I was looking to do, I was looking to explore grief in our game, because that's a part of life, you know, and I've been dealing with stuff like that and wanted to explore that. But I wouldn't have done that if my people I was playing with weren't down for something like that. You know, you find the appropriate people to play with for the things that you're wanting to explore, the kind of game experience that you're wanting to have, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also would say if you're trying to have a more therapy kind of aligned game, or like explore something as like difficult and complex as grief, so real, D&D is not the system for that. Wander Home, honestly, yeah. Yeah, but the thing with Wanderhome is you have so much more discussion with people. Like, you set up the scenes together. You
Yes.
talk about a lot of different things. Like, it has like a lot more chances for you to actually communicate with each other and build something
Collaborate.
together and
Yeah.
collaborate. Whereas that's not D&D. Like, D&D is like collaborative to an extent, and also depending on the DM. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
things where I'm just like, it is for going and hitting things with swords and doing math. Like, it's we've made it like, we the players have made it so much more, but I do also like think that like that is definitely not the route that's coming from. Whereas like people like J Dragon are like, you know, very brilliant and like come up with these really like amazing like human games. And like D&D is an escapist fantasy, which has its place. And also, like, I will say, like, complex things are meant to be in like escapist fantasy still. Like, I don't really want like, you know, brain candy. Like we should be exploring something, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like, D&D can only do so much, and it's not. It is like you get into this main character syndrome problem where when people
Yeah.
do explore certain things, and it's not, and I wouldn't even say it's anyone's fault. It's just, it happens and it doesn't work.
I think the thing that makes me kind of the most like fed up with like pretty much this entire table, like if I was here,
Yes.
first of all, OP, I think in a comment, because usually I'll look through comments and look for like kind of more context and stuff like that. OP, I think is 21, pretty young. I think the rest of the table
Oh
is also pretty young. But it's frustrating to hear from this other person who's not even in the game, so who knows how accurate that is, that
Yeah.
the DM was uncomfortable with this character concept but didn't actually, was like talked into it, which I guess like if that's true, if the DM was actually talked into it. But then sometimes people just like are really bad at saying no, so they'll go like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. And then a person who's autistic, who doesn't pick up on social cues, won't take that as a no because you didn't say no. So they'll say like, oh, well, if you're worried about this, here's this reason, here's this reason, here's this reason. And then a DM will be like, okay, I guess so. So that's also like, if you don't want something in the game, it can be hard, but you have to say you don't want it in the game.
Yes.
Because then later, if this person didn't know you didn't want it in the game, and you say, well, I never wanted this in the game, then
That's
right.
mean.
They're right to
Yeah.
feel like betrayed because you didn't tell them. And there's so
Yes.
much like going on with the story that it's really hard to tell who's actually telling the like truth. There's a lot of unreliable narration here. It does a little bit, I think I edited this out of the story, but the game that they're playing is Lost Mines of Phandelver, and they're all like beginner D&D players. So it's like, why do you even have like, this character concept is kind of too much for a game
Yes.
that's not like, that would be a story where it's kind of about your Warforged, and
Yeah.
this is like a you know,
It's a
an
module.
adventure module. Yeah, that's like not about that
Yeah.
at all. So that's another thing where I'm like, that's kind of a newbie D&D thing to do. Like, if you're doing an original campaign, everyone can have stories like that. If you're doing a module, you know, I personally am kind of like, we probably don't have time to explore this whole thing about your
Yeah.
character blowing up.
And also,
So,
like,
yeah.
you could even without. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was done.
But I've noticed one thing you can do too is like, yeah, I don't have enough time, or I'm also a newer DM and I don't know how to fit that in with
Yes.
everything else. Like, people don't normally use modules when they're like expert, you know.
Yeah.
And like, that's obviously not blanket true. Like, that seems really like, I have been playing D&D for a long time. I really want to play the one with the vampire dude, Ravenloft.
Curse of Strahd.
Yes, God, thank you. I think it would be fun. It sounds really weird, but it's also something where it's like, you have to keep in mind that this is a module.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where he was saying this, but Brandon was talking from Dimension 20 was talking, in case you don't know, was talking about how he tried to run a module, and then he like said something in a way that made the players go, oh, this lady doesn't want to get married, and then they like ran off with her, and it went immediately off the module, like immediately off module. And so I think that, like, especially when you're like an older player, I actually think older players could stay, if they're actually thinking about it, could stay on module better than some newer players.
Yeah.
But because you kind of know what you're doing. But I also think that, like, hey, like, play a trope. Like, I think playing D&D, I think I played like a half elf bard for my first. I know I played a half elf bard for my first character, and it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't. It was a wood elf because I never play high elves. I know. I'm aware. And then I just like you play a trope. Just play like pick some fun things and like don't worry about it too much. Like I think especially for your first one, coming up with like your character while playing, because people are like, I'm gonna play this character, and I do this even now where I'm like, I'm gonna play this type of character immediately, you know. As soon as I start playing, I'm like, oh, that's not who this character is remotely.
This is a different
So
person.
I think just kind of allowing yourself more freedom by not playing someone that you're connected to is actually really fun and a really good way of learning how to play the game. Because then you also have to think so much about the actual mechanics as opposed to like, I think it's kind of like driving where, you know, it becomes fun and easy once you've actually done it a bunch, but to enjoy the scenery, you have to learn all the mechanics. To be able to role play, you kind of know what you're like. There's a level of like, you're not going to get into role play as much because you are just like, okay, well, like, how does this work? How does that work? What do I roll for this? And I think just allowing yourself to not get too taken by people or by your character is a nice, easy thing. And then having this like really complex, really like you reflective character for later once you learn all that, and you can kind of just like take a nice car out for a joyride is, you know, a little bit easier. But this person this person needs to leave the table. It's ultimately this isn't Dungeon Court. This is opinions, but I rule that they have to leave. I'm too NADPOD pilled.
This table needs to be dissolved immediately.
Yes.
I think. all of them need to
gavel.
play with other people. So we're an hour in and we've talked about one story. So
you want to talk about it a little bit more?
Yeah, let's just do the whole episode. So Melanie, you have a story. Do you want to do that now and then go to break, or do we want to take our break and then come back with your story?
Do we need to take a break?
I guess we don't need to. I usually do halfway through, but I'm fine. Let's charge through then, and then if we need to take a break, someone can just say, "Hey, shut up for 10 minutes."
Hey, shut up for 10 minutes while I go piss.
Okay, you know what? Can we have a like 1 minute break so I could get more coffee?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
And by that I mean just go get more coffee and we'll vamp for a minute. I won't go to the break screen.
Yeah. While Mila's gone, let me grab this little egg that Taylor gave to me and show off. So there's at least one egg on this stream.
Look for all the hidden eggs. And it's a jelly cat. It's a jelly cat, so it's very trendy.
I don't know what a jelly cat is.
It's a brand.
I know what a jellicle cat is.
It's a brand of jellicle cat. No, it's a brand of like plushies that are very in.
Well, this is the coolest one of all, and it's got little. What are these? Doc Martens?
Yeah, it's a brand collab.
I feel
Doc
influenced.
Martin X Jellycat.
Do I put it behind me so people can see it, or do I put it in front of me so I can look at it lovingly while I stream?
Pin it to your shoulder. Yeah, like your little friend.
This egg here, and then a deviled egg on this side.
Maybe that is the deviled egg. It is wearing sunglasses. That is a bit bedeviling of it.
Why did I think Mila was wearing a cowboy hat when we walked back in? Howdy.
I'm not that much. I haven't become that much of a place where I live.
Dox yourself. Dox yourself on stream.
I will not.
Cece, don't do that.
What kind of coffee
Melanie?
are you drinking?
A shitty French vanilla from Costco.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's how we pronounce it here in Canada.
Costco.
Shit, I doxed myself.
I love
go to Canada.
Go to Canada.
Buy Costco.
I can see Costco from my house.
A perfect joke.
Melanie, tell us your story.
Yes, I would love to. So I'm not going to read the title of this because it kind of gives away the twist. But also, good news. This is one of the few Reddit horror stories, RPG horror stories, that is succinct. So this is not multiple paragraphs.
Yeah.
So
Taylor,
let's get into it.
Sorry.
They also have terrible tense work in there. I won't try to fix it. I'm just going to read it as is. So apologies for this. I joined a group of almost entirely new players for a run of Sunless Citadel, and the only other player who has immediately played immediately starts taking advantage of the new DM. He decides to be an artificer, which the DM didn't have a problem with.
Illegal.
But also gave himself about 1,000 GP worth of weapons and ammo, including 3 guns. The DM was confused as to why he had guns, and the player immediately went into, you didn't say they weren't in the game, and they are in the DMG, so they're fair game. After a couple minutes of talking about it, I suggested we finish this session, and then we all work it out. Maybe things could have worked out until the problem player reached into his bag and put a loaded pistol on the table and pulled a Bowie knife and started playing with them at the table. Game hit full stop, and there was a WTF do you think you're doing from the DM, as it was his house, as everyone became immediately uncomfortable. The player says he takes them everywhere with him. Keep in mind, this is a 30-year-old. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
What state do they live in?
Doesn't say.
That's my other... Is it legal?
And he wants to use them as props. Unceremoniously,
No!
The game is called, and he is never invited back. And in fact, we make sure everyone we know in the area knows to be careful of inviting him to games. That's it. This motherfucker shows up and is like, I just want to play with a gun and a knife.
Oh my god. Go to the shooting range.
I am so glad you brought the story, Melanie, because I actually have read this one before, not on stream, and I couldn't find it again. I was like, I know there's like a story where someone like has an actual gun that they bring to the table. Yeah.
Loaded gun on table. Everyone's like, whoa.
See, the thing is that like that would be so illegal here. You cannot do that.
This was not in Canada.
It was not, but I also feel like that is like part of my reaction. I think you guys are with me. This is not like an American or Canadian thing. It's just I don't like guns at all, and they're terrifying. They're freaky fucking things. That is insane. I would call the cops immediately. Like, even if it's legal to conceal carry, it also, like, it's not necessarily legal to pull a gun. Like, that is such a threatening act, no matter what. Like, in my house, get the holy, oh my god.
I want to play with it while we're playing.
It's a prop! It's a prop gun!
Around us there.
It's a prop.
I'm an artificer.
A real prop.
I can't have a gun.
It's a real gun I'm using as a prop. It's a prop gun.
I always carry it with me everywhere I go. That's not okay.
No, it's not.
My gun and my knife.
That's also just who assumes that you can play with a gun for D&D? That's a crazy thing to assume, even if it is straight to jail.
Well, it's in the DMG.
Oh my
guns
god.
are in the DMG, so I can bring them to the real table too, of course.
I don't think I've ever played in a game where they've had like a real gun. I think there's been things like inspired by for artificers, but not an actual like gun. Though,
gun.
If anyone's seen the most recent Make Some Noise, Josh is explaining how D&D sounds like to a non-D&D person, and he's just like guns and lasers. And I'm like, I've never played a game like that using D&D.
Now there are gunslingers, so
yeah, I don't like them.
It's in the DMG.
Yeah, that's fair. And going back to NADPOD, Brennan did play a gunslinger in NADPOD once,
and it was like hot as hell.
4 times. We all agree. That is true. Fictional gunslingers can be hot. Real
we can't
gunslingers
thirst over all of Brennan. Okay, we can't thirst over Brennan. We're getting distracted.
I can also thirst over
I can't exist then. I can't continue living then.
And I think being friends with Jake and Caldwell would be chill.
Now you're getting parasocial. I was gonna make a joke earlier that there's also like I think a blades. Isn't there like a blade singer in D&D as well? There's like gunslinger, blade singer. This guy had it all.
D&D doesn't need to do everything. It hasn't figured that out yet.
D&D doesn't need to do everything, and neither does this guy who brought weapons to his D&D game.
What he definitely doesn't need to
do anything.
play with anybody. I'm so glad that they went and like told everyone in their immediate area,
Yeah.
like, hey, don't bring this guy to your table. That's
And
what you do. That's how you look out
stop
for your
the game.
community.
Yeah, stopped
Yes,
the
stop the
game,
community,
said,
kick 'em
what the
out.
fuck are you doing?
Yeah. That's not
I brought
well
this story because
behavior.
it's crazy, but also the way that a lot of these stories will be like, well, we just kept on playing and we played with him for only 4 more sessions, and then he did wield the gun and accidentally shoot the wall or something, you know? Like,
and we said, if you do that one more time, we're gonna have to kick you out.
and he said, oh yeah, I won't, and like that kind of we took him at his word because we tried.
He said he wouldn't do it again, and when he did it again, we were shocked.
A story that I was reading in trying to figure out what to bring here.
Mm-hmm.
This relates to that because there was a story where a person used a slur for somebody who has seizures. They used that slur, and a person stopped them and was like, "Hey, don't use that." And that person was like, "Don't use blank," and like would keep and they're like, "Yes, that," and explained why. And this person's like, because their little brother had like died of it or something, like had a seizure and had died.
Yeah.
And this fucking person, so they keep playing with this person who decides to like every time they can kind of slip it into conversation, like, don't be such a blank about it. And then kind of look over and it's like, well, I thought he said he would stop. And it's like, well, he's not. He's not stopping.
Yeah.
He's actually getting worse.
That sucks.
Fuck.
Melanie, I have a story for you. Handpicked for exactly
me?
you. Exactly for Melanie. Mila, you can be here too.
I'm just here.
Story
a farm fresh story right for you. This is from r/D&D, and the title is Wild Shape Druids Laying Eggs.
No.
Oh.
A player of mine has recently become fixated on the idea that once in wild shape as a chicken, she can lay eggs for the party to eat. This turned into a large philosophical debate on the intended phrasing of wild shape, and it was ruled that wild shape lasts for half the druid's level in hours, meaning one wouldn't turn into a chicken with a reproductive system primed to immediately start laying eggs. It takes on average 26 hours for a chicken to produce an egg, and even a level 20 druid would only be shapeshifting for up to 10 hours at a time. Despite the logic above, the conversation devolved into questions such as, what happens to a druid's laid eggs when they shift back? Would other animals be convinced enough by the external experience? Oh, sorry, not external experience. Would other animals be convinced enough by the external appearance of the druid to contemplate copulation? Where do the unlaid eggs go if the druid shifts back early? Does wild shape extend to reproductive organs? All in all, it was an extremely lively debate, and I wonder what other sorts of D&D philosophical arguments y'all have gotten into at your table.
Let's answer all these questions.
Yeah.
Them one by one.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens to a druid?
You want to say something?
I have so many things I want to say about this.
Do you want to start saying them, or should I pose the questions one by one?
Yeah, pose the questions one by one.
Yes, I'm so excited.
What happens to a druid's laid eggs when they shift back?
What happens to your shit when you shift into an animal?
Well, in real life, that doesn't happen.
What happens to anything that leaves your body? Nothing. Nothing. Why would anything happen?
Great question. But also, I would like to posit that maybe they just turn into human
eggs.
or elven ovum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so they just they go from an egg to being like bloop, and you can't see it.
Yeah.
Or they just remain eggs. I don't know. You make that call.
I think they just remain Also, to the very start, did your DM say yes or no? There you go. There you go.
I think for this specific story, it sounds like they said no, and then it was just like a fun conversation. So this is not like,
that's fine.
I don't think this is like a dispute. I think I someone saying, hey, we talked about this at our table. Down. It's okay. Down, judge.
I do think they would stay. I do think the time is actually, because I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. And then I was like, you know what? with the time, I think that's fine to say no. There's not enough time for that to happen. As it's in the body, I feel like it would just reabsorb. But
Yeah,
also, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you read the next question?
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Would other animals be convinced enough by the external appearance of the druid to contemplate copulation?
Yes.
No.
Interesting.
A disagreement between the panelists.
I know.
So here's why. Because usually, from what I understand about chickens at least, but a lot of animals are like go into heat of some sort. Like chickens get broody. And so if you are a chicken who isn't broody and like wanting to, you know, why does it matter? Well, it's just a fun thought experiment.
I don't know what my mom was saying. What, I don't know what specifically she's saying. What does that matter to? I don't know if she's saying it to the entire. Who cares? My mom comes in my chat. It's just like, what is this shit? End the stream.
I think no, because it's specifically with animals, there is like something that is put off to encourage, you know, mating to happen. But also there's some animals that will, you know, copulate without that kind of thing. I don't think chickens really are one of them. I think they can go into mating posturing for like dominance reasons, but I guess maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I don't know chickens, okay? So maybe I don't know.
My mom clarified. She's saying you don't have to copulate to get an egg. So she's saying this question doesn't really have anything to do with
I know
eggs.
it. But it helps.
What if
Hazel.
you go into...
Sorry, go ahead, Mila.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you.
Well, because that was exactly what I was going to say. What if you were ovulating?
Yeah. What if you're ovulating?
And you became a chicken or a rabbit or a dog?
Damn.
I know.
That sucks to think about.
Okay, on to the next question. Where do the unlaid eggs go if the druid shifts back early? I think, Mila, you already kind of said this, which is they would just get absorbed.
Yeah. It's where do your organs go? Where does I don't know, what happens to your cloaca?
That's what I was gonna ask. I wanted to talk about the cloaca of it all. And also,
let's talk about the cloaca.
Reproductive organs change? You're saying there's just a chicken or a rooster with a human vulva and a human penis?
That sucks.
I'm so upset about this.
Huh. That is funny.
It's like the
cock with a cock.
Beginning of Dad Pod. Yes, they are. We are leaning into the bioessentialism of D&D.
Yeah.
Sure. But also, it's very funny to imagine that and be like, check out the pussy on that chicken. Woo-wee.
Honor the cock's cock, Hazel says. Yeah.
The cock in the beginning, the very first episode of NADPOD, they're talking about a dragon flying over.
Yes, and the
a balls just flat, the penis just flapping behind, and that's really funny.
I think about that a lot. Yeah,
I think the tone for the whole.
It really does.
Podcast.
If you can walk the walk, but can you cock the cock?
My favorite is when every so often something will happen. They'll go, "Oh, you got over the dragon dick," and now this is the next episode you listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, of course you would have the reproductive organs. That'd be a terrible wild shape. It'd be so easy to figure out if any animals had been switched. Just lift up a tail. Oh, that's a druid.
That's so horrible. I hate that.
I can only change this way.
And also, you can also if it's like a fly. You can also into really small things.
Just a little fly flying around.
A human vagina.
Or a human penis, also flying behind you.
Yeah.
It's just a really small
penis.
Yeah.
I think that actually kind of segues into one that I was going to do a little bit later because my mom mentioned the sexism of this all. So this next one is from RPG Horror Stories. Content warning for this one: misogyny. I'm not going to read the title because the title does give the whole thing away.
In a TTRPG? Are we sure?
A DM was misogynist?
I'm
What?
dying while not at work.
This might be a story that I if you read the story that I read earlier, I'm gonna lose it.
I don't know if it is or not. So this, like I said, this is from r/RPG horror stories. This is about a DM who I no longer play under, but have no end of horror stories about. This group was all guys, and normally players would run male characters. I sometimes ran female characters at the table, and so did a few of the other guys. But this DM's behavior applies pretty evenly across all instances of female characters. About once a session, he would ask a random female PC to roll a Constitution saving throw. On a roll that he deemed sufficiently low, he would proclaim, "Boom, you're on your period."
Oh, I've read this one!
It's so fucking funny.
I read this when I was trying to find egg stories like a year ago.
I think that's how I came across this too, because I was looking for egg stories. A PC with sufficiently low constitution could experience up to a dozen periods a month. He would dole out various penalties for this. My rogue would get disadvantage on her stealth check because the creatures can smell your blood, and characters would get disadvantage on persuasion or insight checks because you're too emotional and erratic. This guy was a nightmare DM for so many other reasons, and I just look back on the time playing under him and use it to remind myself of how much I appreciate the DM I currently have.
Actually, you get disadvantage because the enemy smells your unwashed ass. How about that?
Yeah. And your unwashed legs.
Boom, you're on your period.
Boom.
Let's kill him. No, none of his NPCs. Him as a person. That is so horrible, and not how any of this works. Like, it's so wild that men are so confident to just say things and be like, I know nothing about any anatomy.
Have either of you seen those videos where a person will kind of like
It's on the period?
Yeah, have you ever seen a video where someone's on their period? Nasty.
I mean, statistically likely I've seen a video taken of someone while they're on their period.
No. Have you ever seen the video where it's kind of like a person on the street, like interviewing people on the street, where they where they're asking questions about reproductive stuff, like about periods and stuff like that.
Yes.
And no matter what the person, it's always interviewing guys, and no matter what the guy says, they will tell them that they're right. So the first part of that, I'm like, that's cool to do. Telling these men that they're right about a thing they're so fucking wrong about, like, I think it's hurting everybody.
Yeah.
To not be like, how many tampons does a person typically use while on their period? 2. You're correct, sir. No, what?
I've only seen it where they tell them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
I've only seen it that they actually give them correct information to highlight how little these men know. These grown-ass adults, who most of them are straight, do not know.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Sometimes people, men, can say things so confidently with like their whole chest, and they're just so horrifically incorrect. And it's like, oh, like I really got to think about this. 2, it's either 2 or like 1,000. It's never just like a normal number.
Or like even like the most accurate answer, which sometimes guys do say this, is like, it depends. Because like yeah.
Wow, really
adult
chilling.
diaper. But
Are you
like,
sponsored now?
yeah. I think I saw, what video was this? I think it was maybe a Smosh, like some kind of Smosh video where they were doing like a trivia thing, and they had they asked, it was like questions about men and questions about women, I think is what it was. And they asked like the man to name 2 sizes of tampon, I think, or something like that. And he just was like small, medium, and large. Which I do love that too. To be fair, tampons are named inexplicable things. I feel like they're you could not guess that if you don't know.
No.
What is My mom
This one
said
just made me
that.
kinda
What's the
sad.
game show where the host says something about bleeding and the female guest says yes? I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Is she? It makes me think of that "Make Some Noise" where Sam gives Lisa, I can't remember her last name, the prompt where it's like,
Yeah.
you're a YouTube streamer who is losing a lot of blood, and then she's like, "Hey guys, might be seeming a little like off today because I'm on my period."
Yeah.
Sam.
That's really funny.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Shelby
Yeah.
said,
yeah, that's the one.
this makes me think of when NASA was trying to figure out how many tampons a woman astronaut would need. Yeah, I think it was specifically Sally Ride. Wait, Mom was talking about Make Some Noise? I didn't know that. Mom, you watch Dropout shows? I'm learning new things. I'm learning new things every day.
Taylor, your mom is a fully fledged human being with her own interests outside of being a mother.
Wow.
With her, well, arguably not her own interest, because if she's watching Dropout, it's statistically because I watch Dropout.
You think she's only watching that just because of you? Wow.
She said amen, and I choose to interpret that as her saying amen to me saying it was my interest first.
No, I think it was about me sucking up to your mom.
Stop sucking up to my mom.
You can't stop me. I like all of her TikToks.
They're good TikToks.
All right, let's do a story that's gonna make you mad. Are you ready?
Oh, God. And
I've
that one
never
didn't.
been mad.
That one, I think.
I'm always a little mad.
The person saying "boom, you're on your period," the boom really almost makes me forgive. The "boom, you're on your period" is so funny that I'm almost like, okay, you get a pass, that's fine.
Oh.
The other stuff then where it's like, oh, you have disadvantage and all this stuff, that then I'm like, okay, yes, that's right, this is not a funny woman, this is a man.
All right.
It sucks because it's like you're not making anyone else, like the person having so many periods. so crazy. And like you're not making anyone else roll to be like, oh, you rolled really low, you shit yourself. Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
More like boom, you have PCOS, am I right?
I know, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You have an illness where you're having your period constantly. Yeah, what would it be for guys? You like fail a constitution saving throw and it's like you
and your dick
in your pants.
I was gonna say, you come in your pants.
You're coming.
No, you're bleeding out the peen.
You're having a prostate problem.
You have a kidney stone.
But women can get those too. I'm trying to think of what the equivalent would be for a dude.
What? Smegma, I guess?
Boom, smegma.
What's a thing that's only exclusive to someone who has a dick? Yeah. Your
prostate.
Your ball stuck to your thigh in a weird way that made you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You sat wrong.
Broke your peen.
Boom. You sat on your balls.
Broken penis. Boom. Erectile dysfunction.
Oh,
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Next time you're with a person, they'll be disappointed.
I mean, I think you don't have to roll for that one. That's just a given.
Okay. Let's do a story that's gonna make you mad in a different way.
Okay.
This is from r/RPG horror stories. Yeah, get in the headspace that you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
The title of this one is "My New DM Uses Chat GPT for Everything."
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No. Get it out. That's good.
If I could go a fucking day without hearing about. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe they're using it in a good way. Maybe, let's hear the story out. Let's hear the story out.
No.
No, there's no good way to use it.
I need a little squirt bottle. No.
I was being facetious, everyone. The text of this. I'm in a sci-fi campaign. It started pretty simple. They'd sent a document explaining the lore to me that was very clearly an edited ChatGPT response. I didn't really mind it at first. I'm a longtime DM, so I know how hard it can be to come up with your lore in a coherent way, and the fact that they had edited it made it a little less of a red flag. I joked about it in session 0, and they brushed it off. Then in the first session, they revealed that our spaceship would have an AI that was just ChatGPT and text-to-speech. I thought it was kind of cool at first, if a little lazy, but then when we actually got into the session, I noticed they'd type as the players spoke, take 20-second pause, and then read something from the screen. Every single response from them was ChatGPT. They would question what they were reading as they read it out loud, as if they hadn't even proofread it before beginning. Just for clarification, it's not just the descriptions that are AI, it's NPC dialogue too. We'll say something to an NPC and they take up 20 seconds to respond and ask us to talk amongst ourselves while we wait because they're typing our responses in. Should I leave? I know we've only done one session so far, but to me it's an unbelievable red flag. Why even become a DM if you're going to let ChatGPT do all the work?
Yes. Exactly. A good question.
I think that this, or multiple people are doing it, now it's a challenge for me. But NADPOD had this same thing in Dungeon Court where someone else or the same DM was doing it. And it is just like, why are you playing pretend? Read a book.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, like, it's, you know, like, I am, while I'm not a fan of it, I am more forgiving in some situations where I'm like, but okay. But this one is just like, well, why? Like, it's not like you are, you know, struggling with something that is like affecting the real world. You're actively choosing to not be creative. Like, you're doing a creative thing and then not being creative. And I don't really understand why. Like, maybe you shouldn't DM. Like, why are you DMing? It doesn't seem like you actually want to DM. What is the purpose? What is the point to this? What is it bringing you that you wouldn't get more of from a more like actual doing the thing?
Yeah. I had forgotten about this story because I have read this one. I'm trying to think of ways that this would be what is allowable for this, you know, like using like where the computer is the only ChatGPT thing, you know, like if you have this idea of like, well, I want a computer to generate this thing as like the responses, like that's my idea for this, but everything else is created. Like, I suppose I could be more forgiving of that, but this person doesn't, this person either is scared of trying something or doesn't have, you know, ideas of their own, you know, like, what are we doing here? And that takes so long. Talk amongst yourselves.
Shut
up.
Shut up for 10 minutes.
Shut up for 10 minutes at least. You know, like, if you're going to do that, like, besides it being, you know, creatively devoid, you're just wasting people's time because it takes long. So like, you can't even, at least you, like, what we have like this caption going as we're talking. What if you did something like that and then you can just like copy it and make it quicker? That would be at least saving people's time. But you're creating a not enriching experience. You're creating an experience that's devoid of soul. That's the thing that, like, the human spirit of creativity. And you're making it take a long time. So like, to jail with you.
The thing that I think is so discouraging, not just the thing, but a thing that is very discouraging to me about people using ChatGPT for creative endeavors or using any kind of like unethical generative AI. There are ways that you can use AI or language learning models in a creative way that like people used to do, where they would like curate their own data set and have something spit out something interesting. That's fine. You can do that. people don't really, that's not what ChatGPT is. That's not what these other things are. But the thing, other people have said it more eloquently than this, but using something like ChatGPT instead of creating yourself is just part of creativity is the effort you put into it, and like not being immediately good at something and seeing your growth and like putting in this effort to like make something, because then when you've made it you can look at it and go, oh, I like did this, I like didn't know how to do this before and now I did it, or like I've been doing this for this long and look at this thing that I've created. Like I started doing needle felting, and like I'm not completely done with my first project. It looks kind of bad. My first project looks kind of bad. And when I look at like what other people are doing, but I did it. Yeah. Like that has value to say, yes, I did this thing and I went through the process of it. So using ChatGPT is people who just they don't actually want to create something. They just want to have something there. Like they just want to have like, oh, this is the output of creativity, but I didn't have to do anything. And it just feels so like barren. Like it's such a, I don't know, it makes me discouraged.
It makes me really sad. I think I told you about this, and I don't know if Mila, I didn't mention this to you. My one of my best friends got married back in October, and when I went to his like bachelor party, it was kind of like a mixed thing where we were at a cousin of the bride's house, and so we were talking to a couple people. I was talking to somebody who was going to be giving a speech for the bride side, and I was talking about my speech, and like we were kind of discussing that, and I was like, I really haven't started. I got something going on, but talking with these two people who this is the bride's cousin, who is basically like a sister to her. And she's like, I really like, I want it to be meaningful and like beautiful and personal to us. So I think I'm going to like take ChatGPT and like plug in like some like specific things, like inside jokes and stuff that we've experienced. And then, cause I really want it to be like meaningful. And it's like, wow. I mean, I just like, I shut down cause I'm like, there's nothing I can say to this person who is an English teacher, about how she's missing the point of it.
Yeah, that's such a bummer.
And what I hate about the conversation about AI specifically with ChatGPT is if you are against it, people will try to act like you were some sort of Luddite, right? That you aren't like with the times.
Luddites were good.
yeah, that's the other thing.
Luddites were good. Sorry, continue, Melanie.
Yeah.
I mean that's basically the gist of it. Is like I don't know. I care about creativity, and if you're playing a thing that's specifically about creativity, you're not doing the right. You're not in the right space for this. I don't think. Yeah.
If there are people out there watching this who are like, I want to GM, I'm worried I'll be bad at it, so I want to use something like ChatGPT so I'm not bad at it. I just want to say it's good to be bad at things. And if you're like, I've been GMing for like 7 years now. There are things I look back at because I've been running this same campaign for like the whole time. We've been meeting kind of sporadically, but like I've been running the same campaign for like 7 years. And when I look back at the decisions that I made in the beginning, or like things that I ruled, or descriptions that I had, or ways that I was running the game, I was not that good at GMing. But I cared about my players. I cared about doing something creative. And like that has so much more value than being technically proficient in a way that you think ChatGPT will help. Also, ChatGPT writes dog shit stuff. So like, also it's gonna be worse than whatever you would write if you're writing things. But like, I think it's so easy to let, and I've fallen victim to this with like drawing and other things, to let the fear of being embarrassingly bad at something stop you from ever getting good at something. And I think you have to, if you actually want to do a creative thing, you have to say, I'm going to be bad at it, and that's fine. And people aren't going to hate me. It's not going to destroy anything. I'm just going to be a little bad at it for a little while.
You know that saying, I think that is going around a lot more lately, of when people are talking about doing something that they're scared of doing, and people will say, do it scared.
Yeah.
Do it bad.
Do it
you
bad.
Have to you have to do it bad. Because that's the only way that you end up doing it good. Unless you are some sort of like savant, you don't ever do anything like perfect right out the gate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I work with kids, and a lot of times they'll get really emotional over the fact that like they did something bad when they first did it. But what you want your first try at something to be perfect, so then all your other tries when you make mistakes suck and feel bad. Like the whole point is to start off being bad so you can get good. Like if your first attempt is perfect, where do you go from there? And it's just like, yes, it's nice to have things you do be good. It feels really nice. But ultimately, the thing that's going to feel the most nice is looking at, like, I love the drawings of, or the TikToks of people sharing their drawings when they're in, like, middle school to, like, now they're in art school. And their drawings were weird little anime, like, things. And they looked bad. But, like, they also looked like they cared. Then you can, like, they show them improving and show them getting, like, their own style. And that's the other thing, is that by using, like, I always want to call it Midsummer, but it's Midjourney, or like using ChatGPT, is it also doesn't allow you to cultivate your own style. And like when someone is like, I really struggle with writing emails or whatever, and I use ChatGPT, I'm like, I personally would not. But I also am like, you know, I understand why you might be like drawn to that. But when people are like, for a creative thing, it's just like, you're never going to develop your own style. You're not going to develop your own voice. You're not going to develop your own look. And like, I've seen a lot of art that looks like very simplistic, but it really like has like this very impactful feeling when you're doing it, even if it's not considered technically or like aesthetically like good. It's very unique and it's very cool, and people lean into that. And it's kind of like, I should only be a singer if I have a really good voice. And I love a lot of bands where the singer kind of dog shit, but with the type of music they're making, it really works like as a whole. And like, and you improve, and it's just it's taking away like something that I think is very important about art by using AI to do everything for you. Also, it's not intelligent. It's just artificial. So it's just a bummer.
Yeah. It is a bummer. I agree with that. I think it is just kind of, you're outsourcing your humanity, which it just seems like not the best.
But whenever it comes to things that it is like, you know, for corporate bullshit, I'm just kind of like, I have some concerns with like the water use, and I have a lot of environmental concerns beyond just like the humanness of it all. But I also like, and I see people writing essays and stuff and using ChatGPT, and I'm just like, why are you in school? Like, to get a degree, but hypothetically your degree is in the thing that you want to do. So for me to use ChatGPT to write about ancient Greece, like, that feels, well, why would I do that? Like, writing essays isn't exactly fun, but like it's learning, and I'm reading, and I'm like challenging myself. And that is like, it's just tough.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more story.
Hell yeah.
Which is going to segue into something else, into our into our plugs at the end of the stream. This last one is from r/RPG horror stories. Content warning for this one is someone kind of unwillingly being pushed into participation in a kink / fetish.
That's fine.
The title of this one? I'll read the title.
Are there 1,000 floors or 100 floors?
No. It is a similar vibe to that, but that's not exactly.
Before we even get into this, I have for a while had such strong opinions about non-consensual involvement in kink. Like when people go out in public having someone like on a leash or whatever, and like they're being like about it. It's like, well, okay, there's places you can go, and that's actually fucked up of you.
Especially if it's like the grocery store. Like if it's not like something where it's like people are being kind of wacky anyway. Like if it's like a convention or like I don't know, stuff like that, I'm like, okay, sure. But if it's just like wherever, like just down the street.
Do you remember the vintage like festival thing that we went to like forever ago?
Yes.
There was somebody who was on a leash there, and they kept on hitting tag with their tail as they're being led around, I think.
Yeah,
and that is like, fuck off.
That was essentially a flea market, which is not what I mean by like festival or convention. That was just a vintage clothing, like people were selling clothes. Yeah. The title for this one is Furry DM Tries to Turn Me into a Furry.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't involve snakes, I'm fine.
No snakes. No snakes. It's quite rare for me to get the chance to play D&D, so when my friend messaged me and asked me to join his game, it took little to convince me. The game, as he explained it to me, would be Monster Hunter inspired with a lot of exploration and combat. I rolled up a ranger. Something a bit odd I noticed when the game started was that the rogue was playing as a palico, which is basically a cat that walks on two legs. It's not even some kind of bipedal humanoid cat like a tabaxi. They really are just cats that walk on two legs. But the portrait the player was using for this character was a lot different than the palicos I know from the game. One with much more exaggerated proportions, such as ridiculously wide hips and large breasts on an actual cat. I was a bit put off, to say the least, but I figured maybe he just liked the art for some reason.
For some reason.
For some reason. I don't know. Maybe he just liked it.
Who can say?
In the first session, the DM had us choose our party's mentor. The DM presented a few NPCs to us, and one of them was very different from the rest. She was described as some kind of humanoid lizard woman with large breasts and a very bubbly and ditzy attitude, who was supposed to be some legendary hunter. And when we did not choose this NPC, the DM seemed disappointed and asked us in an annoyed...
They didn't choose that NPC? I'm already on the DM side here.
We'll choose generic man number one, please. We'll choose the boring one you didn't want them to choose.
Well, too bad. They're all friggin' stacked in my game.
The boring man shapeshifts into a werewolf with a giant hog.
And also a sick rack.
Every character has huge boobs.
Wait, you guys not put huge boobs on your NPCs?
Yeah, you are playing an animal NPC, aren't you, Mila, in a game?
Am I?
Aren't you?
Maybe.
Is it Cult of Thorn? Aren't they all animals?
No.
Oh.
I was a snake flavored as a snake barbarian that was flavored as like another creature for a one shot, but I have a squirrel in Cult of Thorn. I'm a gnome. A forest gnome with a squirrel
I
familiar.
thought Cult of Thorn everyone was animals. Maybe I was thinking of the snake.
No.
Okay, well, accusation rescinded.
What were your snakes, sorry, just real quick, what were your snakes like chest situation like? Was it like
I never specified, so it's really up to you.
Damn. I'm gonna look at some artwork later.
Also, just for context, their name was Cupcake.
Damn.
Yeah, Cupcake the snake.
Cupcake.
I love that.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Boom. Penis.
Yeah. Boom. Penis. Roll a Constitution saving throw for me. So when we did not choose this NPC, the DM seemed disappointed and asked us in an annoyed tone if we were sure, and even had this lizard lady approach us to try and convince us to take her. Feeling pressured, we reluctantly agreed. We went to our barracks where we got to meet each other a little more in character. This is where another red flag popped up. The rogue, in character, mentioned that she liked to draw hentai of people she met and found attractive, which included my character. The lizard lady piped in and mentioned how she thought this was a good talent, and asked the rogue to make hentai of my character and the lizard lady together, mentioning how cute she thought I was. I felt awkward because of the situation. I was and am not a furry. After taking a moment to gather my thoughts, I just had my character say how she would prefer not to be depicted. Neither the rogue nor the DM seemed to like this. As sessions progressed, it became more and more obvious the game was not what was advertised. I'm not kidding nor exaggerating when I say roughly 70% of all sessions were our characters and the lizard lady role-playing, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just talking about stuff with the lizard lady constantly trying to flirt with my ranger. Finally, it was about time to head out on our first hunt. I was very excited. I thought maybe the game would finally kick off, but I was a bit nervous with what we were hunting, a mizutsune, which is basically this big colorful water snake that blows bubbles. We were level 3 at the time, and a mizutsune was way beyond our capabilities. When we found it, it was not what I expected. It was a mizutsune, all right, but the portrait the DM used for it was fan art, one with breasts, long lashes, a far less frightening appearance than in all the games, and one that could perhaps most surprisingly of all, speak. We ended up talking to it, as it apparently didn't want to fight us, and we weren't too happy fighting something that could kill us with great ease. And wouldn't you know it, it was flirtatious. It made comments about how its slippery body produced great lubricant, how its bubbles weren't the only big round things she would like to smother us with, and other things that hurt to remember. The worst part of all, she explained the plot of the game. Turns out, it was mating season for most monsters, and so they were all on a rampage trying to find a mate before the season ended. I just kept quiet and waited for the session to end. When it did, I spoke to the DM and asked him about everything that had been going on. He told me that he was struggling a lot to find a player for his game and knew how I never get to play. He knew I would not join if I knew this was a furry game with 18+ elements, so he hoped that by withholding that information from me, I would learn to enjoy said elements as the game progressed, and just have a fun game with everyone. In the end, he didn't understand what he did wrong. I really was not interested in this type of game, so I thanked the DM for his time, bid him good luck, and never returned to that game.
Oh,
Jeez Louise.
That.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no like good way to. I think you're. I think you suck as a person if you're like, well, I just figured you would. If I just did this thing, you would learn to enjoy it, and like that's fuck. That's
manipulative as all hell.
It's coercive. It's yeah. It really like even though like nothing physically happened to this person, the way that they shut down and just like waited for it to end, that feels very like assaulty. Like it's that sucks so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, insanely so. Awful.
I knew how badly you wanted to be in a game, so I just thought I would not tell you about what this one's like and that you would be into it.
And if you had all the information, you would say no. Which is like, So
I didn't give you a chance. Wow, that sucks.
Don't do that.
Yep.
Like, the game that this DM is wanting to run, I don't think that's for everyone. I'm sure there would be people who'd be into it, right? There are people who would have fun doing that.
Yeah, there's already one. It seems like the rogue in the party was like, yeah, I like to draw hentai.
That's so wild.
And let's roleplay us having breakfast, lunch, and dinner and talking about this.
Talking about this ditzy bimbo lizard lady.
Yeah. That wow. Like there's parts of this that where if it was like a normal game where it's like everyone's just like just like huge boob, like that's kind of funny. Like I could see myself like DMing and be like, yeah, and so you see this character there like this, but like I wouldn't be holding someone against their will.
Yeah,
go on like a monster fucking sex spree without knowing what that game is, right?
Yeah, it's a bold pitch to be so confident. I can't remember if I edited it out, but at one point they mention, the person writing this mentions that they don't even really know the DM that well. Like, they're like a friend, but they're not like a close friend. So it's so funny to be like, I think, I think I know this acquaintance will warm up to this. Like,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be in a game like this. This is not even really like the thing that really
Don't
made
be
me
stupid. Everybody wants this.
the thing that really made me laugh is after the rogue was like, oh hey, I want to draw hentai of your character. The person writing this said, I felt awkward because of the situation. And I'm like, yeah, makes sense. And then they said, I was and am not a furry. And I was like, I think that's kind of tangential to anything else. Like, if I was in a game that had no furries and, like, just a human was like, I want to draw hentai of you and that character, I would go, ooh, I feel uncomfortable.
I also don't think you have to be, like, ignoring everything else. I don't think you have to be a furry to be in a game like this. Like, it is just fantasy. Like, you can be involved if you wanted to be involved in an 18 plus like RPG that you were not a furry, but there's like furry elements to it. I also don't think being into those, like, I forget what they're actually called, but the like half snake ladies that are in D&D. I don't. Yes. I don't think that would make you a furry. And I think there's like things in D&D that you could be into and not be a furry.
Yeah.
Having said that, what? This is so wild. Like, this poor person. It was like, it's not the sex of it all. It's the manipulation. It's the withholding information, lying by omission, all of these absolutely wild out of pocket things. Mel, is that from the Hitchhikers at the bottom corner of your screen?
It is.
Is that the little robot? I love it.
Yeah, my brother got that for me.
I think stream just can't see it. It's
I'm
literally
so sorry.
just on a frame.
It's it's just so manipulative. It's so bad. It's just such a bummer of like, and also like move it online. Because you can definitely find people that would want to be in an 18 plus thing online. Like, and not even in like a weird way, but just in a like, you know, kind of going back to like almost therapy talk of like, it is kind of fun to work through some things. And it might like fantasy, like people play like weird, to me, no judgment, but just games that I would not play that are very like hentai, like sex focused on like Steam. I get ads for them sometimes and I'm like, no, thank you. Not for me. Or even in like now Baldur's Gate 3, however.
He's a little dusty.
Oh, he's cute. But yeah, like there's definitely people who would actively want that, and it's wild to just be like, I'm gonna manipulate someone into this. Also, too, like I feel like making them play this in person is even more like I don't know. It feels so much ickier, and like people might be less comfortable doing that. Just move it online and don't manipulate people. Find people who actually want to be there, because then no one is wasting their time.
Yeah.
And you will find people who want to be there. I 100% believe that.
Absolutely.
Oh. Can I draw some hentai of that?
Yeah, that's what I want, actually.
Well, that's the last story that I have for the stream, and it's the time that I said we'd be done by. So the reason why that was a segue into something else is Melanie, an eggway. Melanie and I, along with our friend Zay, next week, a week from... No, actually, not even a week from. On Thursday.
You're stealing my plug.
Okay. Melanie?
No, you got it. You got it.
Melanie, take the wheel.
So next Thursday and every last Thursday of the month for the foreseeable future, as long as we can make that happen, we are going to be having warrior chats on Taylor's channel here, where the three of us, Taylor, myself, and our friend Zay will
not Mila.
Not Mila,
I'm
later probably guesting.
Oh, I would love to.
Where we will be reading through all of Warrior Cats and just seeing how we change as people as time goes on. We both,
because none of us have read any of them, so that's where like what will we become kind of aspect comes in, because we haven't read them.
I'm so excited to see your OCs.
we have a current like bet where we're like, how long will it take for us to like choose names and stuff?
First book.
Probably.
I legitimately think Mel is going to be like, not on purpose, not for the bet, not to win or manipulate it, but Mel is just going to be like, what would your name be? Once we get to like where they talk about the naming conventions in the book, I think Mel is just going to forget about the bet and go, what do you think?
I won't forget, but I still probably will ask. I don't even bet any actual money or anything. But the way that this even started is years ago. I remember standing in my kitchen with the three of us, and like Mike and Tag were there, and we were talking about like Warrior Cats as a book, about how if we had read that when we were younger at a certain like specific time in our lives, how we would be different people now. And then the thought of being like, well, what would it do to us now as we think we're past being that kind of person? I don't know. I don't know.
It's really good. It's like, you know how My Little Pony, it's every pony.
Yes.
It's like every cat kind of like language that they use in the book. Like it's really it's very junior, but I'm very excited for this. I'm also going to get back and I read the first one and then put it down because there's one kid at the camp that I led who was so into it that I was like, well, dang, I guess I'll give it a chance. This kid's kind of chill. If she likes it this much, I'll give it a shot. And honestly, no regrets. So I'm very excited. I will be reading it with you though. Like when you guys get the second one, I'll also good.
I'm really excited
tippy tap all my opinions.
With your little paw.
This is how I type.
So I don't remember if Melanie said the time, but it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. The last Thursday of every month, starting next week.
I don't work at that time.
We're aiming for it to be about an hour and a half, I think. So it'll be shorter streams. It's kind of like Over the Tables, 2 hours short streams.
And if you happen to miss it, it will be put up on Taylor's YouTube.
Yes, it'll be on YouTube, so you can watch
its own
them
little playlist, right?
After the fact. Yes, in its own little playlist.
Just free floating.
Also, other stuff I have coming up. Wednesday, April 2nd. At 9 p.m. Eastern. It's killing me to say this. At 9 p.m. Eastern will be the first episode of a new series that I'm producing on this stream called Carmageddon. My friend Becca is running a campaign of Tune, which is a TTRPG that was released by Steve Jackson Games, I think in the 80s. It's out of print now, I believe. That is like a Looney Tunes like kind of vibe. And Becca, the campaign that they came up with is this is a post-apocalyptic Toon world. So all the humans have been killed by this apocalyptic event that doesn't kill Toons, but perhaps mutates them. So this is going to be very fun. Keep an eye on my socials because I've been posting about the players. If you're in the Discord, you already know who all the players are because I posted there already. And also, my friend Ethan did character art for the characters, so I'm excited for people to see that.
Oh, excellent.
I did some fun overlays. I'm really excited about my character. So that'll be Wednesdays in April and May. I think it's going to be like 6 episodes, and it's going to be weekly because I'm not DMing it, so it's easier to split the labor. So one person DMs and then I'm producing. So
I did just see a public book club / joint mental breakdown, and I just wanted to bring attention to that.
Yes, that's what I said about Warrior Chats.
I'm so excited.
Public book club / joint mental breakdown. Yeah. Mila, do you have anything that you want to plug?
At some point, Mel's also going to come out with a podcast, and I just want to put some public pressure on that. That's it.
Get Richie or Guy trying.
Yeah, truly amazing. I want to get back to. Yes, but we haven't even. We're about to start recording, so we'll see how that goes.
Talk about the concept of it.
I don't know the concept of it yet. I don't think.
Oh it's because I'm trying not to talk about it too much, except for harassing Mel and Tag about it. You guys are separate in my mind, I guess. I don't know.
Never stop talking to me about it. I want to talk about it all the time.
So Oleg and I are gonna watch there's some backstory. In 2019, we went to the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, and they had a horror exhibit. And one of the things they talked about was the top 100 horror movies of like all time. And so the very first movie is going to be my French is, I'm a bad Canadian, my French is bad, but Le Manoir du Diable. And so there are like 3 or 4 different translations of this for like no reason, because it should just be the manner of the devil, but for whatever reason we like to translate it in really weird stuff. So it's also like the haunted castle. But then there's another movie from a couple of years later, no, from the same year, there's another movie from the same year that's also the haunted castle, but they're 2 separate movies.
Oh.
And so it is a 3-minute long horror. I'm holding myself back because I need to save it for the podcast, but I have a lot of thoughts on it.
I understand.
We haven't even, so the kind of premise is what we're going to do is we're going to go through this list. Part of it is that there's just an easy list that we can follow where we don't really have to like debate on it. And then we are going to try to see if we can get better with horror movies, because Oleg and I are both not great with horror movies. We're little scaredy cats. And so we're going to try to watch them, and we're also giant nerds. So part of it is going to be talking about like the kind of what was going on, what is like the kind of backstory, kind of who made it, all of the kind of nerdy info dumping stuff. And then we're going to watch it. We're going to record our reactions. So we're probably, for some of the earlier ones, just going to, I'm wanting to make YouTube videos for it. So you'll probably be able to easily see some of the older movies, but for the newer ones, it'll probably just be like clips of our reactions if we have like really like out there reactions. And then it'll be us kind of discussing it and analyzing it after we've seen it. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We finally got a second microphone, which is here just sitting on my desk, not plugged in. So hopefully we can get started on that. But yeah, we'll see how fast I can edit things. It's really
nice. Did you say the episodes are going to be 3 minutes long, or did I mishear you?
No. The very first movie that we're going to watch is 3 minutes long, and it's out of the public domain, or it's in the public domain. And so I want to see if I can like have the actual video for some of them with like our reactions, so that people can kind of watch it on YouTube with us.
I understand what
it's going to be pre-recorded, but yeah.
I was going to say a 3-minute long podcast is ambitious for all the stuff you mentioned wanting to talk about in the podcast.
You just do an intro and then you have to do an outro immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. You can follow Melanie and Mila. I put links in chat, and if you're watching on YouTube later, it'll be in the YouTube description, to keep up with their various projects, things that they have coming out. You can also follow me everywhere, at Roll for Felicity, pretty much Blue Sky, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, all that stuff. That's in chat as well. And I think that's everything. So how do I end this stream?
I love you. Goodbye.
Is there a thing I do to end the stream? That was just me.
And that's how
stalling.
the table
turned over.
That's how. And now we all climb over our respective desks towards our microphones
and goodbye.
we're over the table.
Goodbye.